Welcome back, Rebels.
Hello.
It's been an interesting episode for you this week, hasn't it?
Oh, I mean, if you're talking about being bullied, then yeah.
We've got Dilly Carter on this week, who's decluttering dollies on Instagram, and her life is basically decluttering other people's chaos.
Yeah.
And David's got a lot of chaos.
It's organised chaos, it's fine.
It's a bit of a therapy session for you, this one, wasn't it?
There was a lot of interesting stuff in there, and I was just about to say I don't feel like I've got a problem, but then that's what they all say, isn't it? I think I'm fine. It's not out of control. It's good. It's fine. I suppose one of my main takeaways from the episode was that everything in your house has a monetary value. At one point, it was money in your bank, and you've exchanged that money for that product or that thing, whatever it is. And when you end up, if you look at how much stuff in your house you don't need, or that's hanging in your wardrobe that you never wear, or that's under the stairs, or wherever you just stash all of this stuff, it's like we probably need much less than any of us have. We probably need a lot less than that.
And I think a really big problem for a lot of our listeners and watchers is the fact that they don't have enough money. But actually at home, you've got so much kind of effectively money sat around your house that you're not using, that's in a drawer that you haven't seen for ages, that you could sell to make enough money to fund something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, it's mad how this episode is so closely linked to money, and it's closely linked to mental health and all of these things that sort of tie up together, when the episode is not about money, is it?
Yeah.
But it's so closely linked because we spend our money on stuff.
Yeah, there's a really good mindset takeaway from this episode in terms of by having a clean space and a clear space in your home, for example, then you wake up in a clear space. Your mind's not kind of stressed and crazy. So by the time you get into work, you're in a much better mood. So you don't start your day off stressful. So it's kind of making a life that is a lot more simple and a lot more kind of rewarding, I suppose.
By decluttering your house, you will declutter your mind.
Exactly.
Dilly Carter is a professional declutterer. Her younger life was pretty chaotic, and she found order in organising. When her mum was diagnosed with bipolar, she started to realise how conducive to a clear mind a clear house was. Dilly now helps her clients get rid of the unnecessary stress in their lives by getting rid of things that they don't need.
We start off this episode with some help and advice for David.
Well, I mean, you can call it help and advice, or you can call it bullying me. Well, I mean, you guys decide. And for the record, they're action figures, not dolls.
They're dolls.
Hi, Dilly.
Hello.
Thanks for doing our podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So I know this is your first podcast that you've ever done.
You are popping my podcast cherry.
I resisted having you on. No offence, but because I feel like it might bring home some real home truths for me and difficult things that I'm not ready to deal with yet. Because Adam says that I'm a hoarder, don't you?
Yeah, he absolutely is.
And he actually uses that word.
Yes.
I think it's been forced upon him. I think when someone says something about you so many times, you kind of start to believe it.
Oh gosh. So does he walk in your house and go, oh my goodness?
Yeah, I'm a collector. That's how I term it. He says hoarder.
I like the word collector. I might use that.
Yeah,
I'm a collector. But are you a collector of many things,
Crap.
of multiple things? Just crap.
Yeah, so I like toys from the 80s and 90s, but it's kind of extended into just toys. Just anything I see at a car boot sale, I'm like, that's cool.
Oh wow, okay. So there's not even any specific genre. It's anything.
It's I just like toys. If they're designed well, or if they're a cool character or something, then I'm just like, that's awesome. So yeah.
And do you have the space for these things?
No.
Their spare bedroom is a toy room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So people can't come and stay because...
Well, they can, but people get quite freaked out by it. I don't know why. But
they're sleeping amongst dolls.
Yeah, and they're just like, I'm being watched by 5,000 eyes currently. They find that creepy.
Do you know there are a lot of people that are scared of dolls?
Yeah, I mean, let's not say dolls.
Oh, okay. So you're not a collector of dolls.
Action figures, okay.
And are they in boxes?
Some of them are, but not. So I like the story of a figure. So like I like that it has a history to it. So it doesn't have to be mint in the box. I do have some stuff that's mint in the box.
And how are they organised in that room?
I'm getting interrogated now.
You're starting to scratch.
So currently, because my plan is when we move to a bigger house, and I know this is the worst, when we move to a bigger house, then I'll be able to display everything properly.
Okay.
And then I'll have, so Masters of the Universe is what I grew up with, like He-Man, Skeletor, those guys.
So we're probably similar ages then.
Yeah.
80s children, yeah.
Yeah, 80s kids. And so those I've started collecting those like mint on card so that they're still in the box, they're untouched.
Okay.
Because I just think the artwork on the back is just beautiful and it's so nostalgia. I look at it and it just takes me back. I remember like getting those as a kid and just being the happiest in the world.
So when you move, your aim is to look for a bigger property.
To fill it with more shit.
To fill it with more stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you're going to pay more money in rent, more money in a mortgage to house your addiction to toys.
Yeah. All right.
No, but if you have the money to and you have the space to, then great. But as long as you have the space, then that's fine. It's just when you don't have the space and actually it's starting to take over your life that it can become a problem. And that's where people like me will come in and go, okay, it's great to be a collector, but as long as you have the space to put these things in there. And when you move to your new house, in the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking, okay, but I need to put all my collection here. So you're actually not looking at the room as a spare room. You're looking at somewhere that you're going to build. You're then going to have to build shelves, I presume, to display everything, because you can't just have everything piled up. Is it currently just piled up?
It's a mixture. So there's some shelves, but because it got a bit out of hand, there's also some piles.
And so do you have everything organised into, so say maybe it's all your He-Mans together, your She-Ras together?
Yes.
It is like that. Oh, so there is some form of organisation in that room.
Some form.
So
Adam doesn't see it. He just sees a pile.
Do you just walk in and you're like, oh my goodness, that room, close the door?
I'm just like, I can't believe this person has this amount of anything, because I'm kind of the opposite.
This amount of anything.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not a minimalist, but I definitely like to have less things.
You're good at getting rid of stuff as well.
I'm amazing at getting rid of stuff.
And how does your partner feel about your collection?
She's an enabler.
She's
like, oh, that's cool. You should get that.
Oh, okay. So that's the worst thing, isn't it? There's the worst. Normally, in most relationships, there's always someone that doesn't like it and someone that does. So they're always battling. So it's very interesting that when I go to people's houses, and when there aren't many houses I go to where the husband and the wife or the partners are together, and they do it with me, it's always one or the other that's called me in. They're not both in agreement, because a lot of people will say, oh God, what a waste of money, what, we're going to get someone in to help us organise. You could do that. Everyone says that. You could do that. We're not going to pay someone a ridiculous amount of money or however much money to come in and organise my house. It makes no sense at all. We'll just do it on a Sunday. But what happens is that Sunday never comes.
Yes.
Because who wants to spend 4 to 6 hours sorting out their kitchen cupboards, sorting out their collection room, unless it's your real hobby and you absolutely love it. But even then, you're working 5 days a week. Why do you want to spend your weekend doing that? You don't really.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to get someone else in to go, actually, we can get this done on a weekday, get it cleared, and at the weekend then we've got more time to ourselves.
Who is it who gets you in? Is it the person with all the mess or the person without the mess?
Yeah, it can vary. I think what happens is the person that creates the mess or the whole house, even if it's a whole house problem that everyone is, generally the people that get me in, it's because they've got on top of everything, and they can't get on top of everything, and it's all just got a bit chaotic. So they'll call me back in, or they'll call me in, originally, and say, right, we just need help getting back on top. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's one person. It can be lots of contributing factors.
So what do you do? What's your job title, would you say?
So I'd say I'm a professional organizer. So I go into a chaotic situation and turn it around and make it a lot calmer. So by that, I would go into, a really untidy room, a collector's room, and say, right, let's make some organisation of this. Let's make it easier to manage so that you can see everything that you've got. At the moment, everything is piled up on top of each other. Have you separated it? Have you got containers that maybe you can put things in, like to store all your precious things? Maybe we need to put them somewhere else. Maybe
that's the thing, because my stuff's in a pile, I can't enjoy it. I can't look at the artwork because I can't see it.
You haven't even got things on shelves. You haven't even got things in boxes. You haven't got anything labelled. So actually, if you are a real collector of things and you do really love your stuff, why isn't it displayed properly? So it's also something, a lot of women will say, oh my God, I love my bags, I love my shoes, yet they're all thrown at the bottom of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
I said, well, you don't really, do you? Because if you really love something, then you would have created shelves. You'd have all your shoes on beautiful shelves. You'd have had all your bags displayed beautifully. So I find it hard to believe people when they say, oh, I love fashion, but actually your wardrobe's chaotic. But how can you love fashion? Because you can't see what's in your wardrobe. But if you love your stuff, then you look after it like anything. The things that you really, really love and cherish will be boxed, they'll be displayed, they'll look beautiful. if you think about your front room, what's in your front room that you love, everything that, your most prized possession, maybe you've won an award for something, for the best podcast of the year, and that will be displayed. That will be displayed on the mantle. That will be displayed on the mantelpiece. But something you treasure will be well looked after. So I think a lot of people, they just collect and collect and collect things and say they love things, but actually the way they're treating them speaks differently.
I guess there's human psychology and a lot involved in there as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I heard something really interesting recently that's really stuck with me, and they were saying, go through your house and everything you see is money.
Yes.
So
I was just about to say monetary value is the biggest problem. And the reason people don't want to clear things is because of the monetary value of everything, especially with kids' toys, for example. People say, oh my God, they'll buy and buy and buy their children toys. I'm as guilty as anyone else. I have a child, she's 5, she loves everything that's big, everything that's pink, everything that's plastic, everything that's horrendous. But she's a 5-year-old, she's my first child, she's my only child at the moment. Yeah, you're very similar actually. I love, we buy her loads of stuff, but it's trying to clear that stuff because you think, actually, I've just spent £100 on a Barbie plane. I don't want to get rid of that plane. Even though I hate it, I'm not going to get rid of it because I've spent so much money. So what you have to try and get your head around is that the monetary value of that item worth the stress that it is causing you. So, for example, if you have spent £1,000 on your collector's toys, actually, is it worth it? If to you, yes, it is worth that stress, absolutely keep it. But if that stress is causing arguments between you and your girlfriend, you can't get into that spare room, you can't have family stay over, you can't have visitors, and actually every time you walk past that room, you're feeling anxiety, that is not worth the monetary value. So get rid of it, clear it, sort it, organise it, do something about it. It's when that monetary value is worth less than the stress, that's when you have to do something about it. It's absolutely fine to keep 20 cars if you're a millionaire and you've got a beautiful garage to put them all in. But actually, if you've got 20 cars that are causing you stress because there's nowhere to put them anymore, and you've started collecting so many cars that there's nowhere, and now you need to buy a bigger house, what is worth? You have to weigh up the difference. And that's the problem. So if things like in your wardrobe are causing you stress, like your wardrobe is causing you stress, and it's a £5 top, get rid of it, recycle it. There's so many people that need the stuff that you have in your house. There's so many things that you can resell. You could sell maybe even half the toys in your room that you don't actually really love and have a passion for, and use that money to then build a beautiful display, build beautiful shelves, build beautiful boxes to have everything inside it. So it's about transferring things and thinking, actually, what really matters to me? What is really important? What in that room do I really love? And actually, is there anything that I can get rid of and use that money to make this room better? Or can I then put that money towards the things I sell that are going to go towards the rent on my next house or the mortgage on my next house? So it's just about, transferring things. That's what it's about.
Yeah, we were talking recently about like saving up for your own redundancy.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to kind of go and do something creative, kind of break out of the kind of normal 9 to 5, you need that money buffer for that.
Yeah,
and a lot of people probably have that sat around their house.
100%.
If you sold everything now, you might be able to have the next 6 months of not going out every night and eating all the time, but like enough to survive on to allow you to go and pursue that thing that makes you really, really happy. And that stuff that's there currently sat in your house is holding you back from that.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you think about things that when we shop, for example, and this is quite a big thing, everyone thinks, right, it's a bargain, I'm going to buy it. So maybe there's a 1980s statue that instead of it being £1,000, it's £500. And you think, oh my God, this is £500, it's incredible. But actually, is it a bargain, or is it you're just buying it because it's been reduced? So for example, a top, it's £20, but I'm going to get it for £5. But is it a bargain if it's going to be sat in your wardrobe and you're never actually going to wear it? You're just buying it because it's cheap. So what happens is we're such a nation of buyers that we just buy because everything's suddenly got a little reduced price on it, and you think you're getting a bargain, but actually what you're doing is you're filling your house with so much stuff that's worthless, that's cheap, that's throwaway fashion, and you're not clearing it. So you think it's a bargain, but actually what it turns out to be is costing you way much more money, because in the end you're then going to have to either spend 6 hours trying to clear that wardrobe, you're going to have to pay someone to come around and help you do it, or you're just going to be stuck with something that in the end you're going to cost you to sell.
When you were younger, were you like Monica Geller?
I was 100% Monica Geller, and I still am like Monica Geller. I have got that cupboard that no one else sees that's full of crap. You know, it is. I am the. You know, I'm not the worst. My house is very minimal. There's not much in it. Don't have much food in the cupboard. There's barely any food in my fridge, but I have exactly what I need, and that's it. I don't have anything that I don't need. My wardrobe's very minimal. I wear the same outfits on repeat. You know, I'll buy something new. I'll wear it to death. I'll give it to charity. Do the same. So I recycle a lot of stuff. I've got a lot of friends that have pre-loved sites, and I'll buy from them, sell something, give it back. You know, so I don't have a lot of stuff. And obviously, you know, I have to practice what I preach as well. And I often show my own home and show people that, you know, it's not picture perfect, and that's not what we're trying to achieve by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm trying to do is give people back some headspace, some calm, just knowing that they know where everything else is in their house, just knowing that everything is accessible, because the problem that most of us have is not knowing what we have, not knowing what's in our wardrobe, not knowing what's in that spare room. Like, could you itemize all of your toys that are in that room? Probably not, because there's so many. Probably. You don't know. Oh, you could. Oh, okay, you can itemize them.
I think because I go in there so often, just to
because it is a real passion,
and just look at them.
Okay.
I think I could start from this side and work my way around, and I could pretty much name most.
It could definitely be clearer. It could definitely be more organised. It could definitely look more organised than it is, and you could definitely see it better if it were to be organised properly.
Yeah. I mean, I had a big eBay like last couple of months. They've been doing that £1 listings thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You've
been sucked in.
Yeah, I've made £3,000 on eBay in the past 2 months, just getting rid of old stuff.
£3,000.
Mostly clothing.
Yeah.
But like a few toys as well, just stuff that I was like, I don't need that. But yeah, I mean, I was just sat on that.
Yeah.
Just sat on it.
People are sat on fortunes in their houses.
I think also, like, going back to the whole money thing, like, and going back to it as well, like, you're talking about how much time it saves you by not having loads and loads of stuff. Like, time's your most precious commodity.
Absolutely.
And it's just taking a few seconds off every single decision because you haven't got such a massive choice to choose from.
Absolutely.
Like, if you add that up over your lifetime, that's probably like you've got years and years and years extra to enjoy things, because you don't have a million things to choose from every day.
Absolutely. I often talk about something called the trail of destruction, and this is really important, because the trail of destruction is this. You wake up in the morning, and first thing you do is you open your eyes. You look in your bedroom and you're surrounded by chaos. Your bedroom is a mess. You go to your bathroom cabinet, you open your bathroom cabinet door, the bathroom cabinet is a mess. You go down the stairs, there's stuff all over the stairs. You go into the hallway, you trip over some shoes. You go into the kitchen, your kitchen cupboards are a mess. You then get into your car, and your car is a mess. And by the time you've got to work, you're so stressed and you're wondering why. So you have to start correcting the things before you even get to work, because all these tiny little things that seem like tiny little things actually are huge things. And before you get to work, you have to be clear in your home, because our home is our sanctuary, right? Our bedroom is our sanctuary. I always say to people, you must never, ever have anything to do with work in your bedroom. All that should be in your bedroom, I know many people say you shouldn't even have a TV in your bedroom. I do have a TV because, you know, we've got a child. We like to sit on a Sunday morning, watch a movie. That's an extreme, but don't have your laptop in your bedroom. Don't have paperwork in your bedroom. Don't have workbooks, anything associated to work in your bedroom. That needs to be the one place that is calm, that's clear, that you can sleep well from. And the same, you know, you go into your bathroom cabinets need to be clear. Your wardrobe needs to be organised, because the first thing we do when we get up is get dressed. So if you're opening your wardrobe and sighing every morning, think, oh, I've got nothing to wear. Like, I don't know what am I going to wear? That's a stress already, even though you don't think it is. Because when someone comes in and does your wardrobe for you, then you're like, wow, why didn't I have this done 10 years ago? Same with your kitchen. People are like, you could do what? You go in and organise someone's kitchen cupboards? What a ridiculous job. Like, actually, no, it's not. Because if I came in and organised your kitchen, you'd be like, I didn't even realise it wasn't organised. What a difference that's made. Because some people's kitchens don't flow. And we're in our kitchens every day. We're in our houses every day. We're in our bedrooms every day. We're in our wardrobes every day. All these different rooms that you think, it doesn't matter, I don't need that service, that's a load of rubbish. actually it can make you feel better. So when you wake up in the morning and you're in this beautiful clear room, you go into the bathroom, you can see everything you want, you can finally find your beautiful face cream that you'd lost, you know, you go down the stairs, it's all lovely, your kitchen, you know, you're making your breakfast, your cereal, your tea bags are where you want them to be, your milk and sugar is where it should be, and then you're getting into your lovely beautiful car and you're driving off to work, and you skip into work rather than thinking, why do I feel like shit already?
People's cars are the worst, aren't they? Sometimes, like, it's
some
like an
people's
extension.
cars, they can't even see their foot well, and you're like, how? What? Yeah. What, how are you driving in your car? How is that not causing you stress? And that's something that simple. I do little things called a dolly dash. It's like a 15-minute. Today on your dolly dash, do something for 15 minutes, and that might be get a plastic bag, go out to the car and get rid of all those 20 plastic bottles of water. You know, get a reusable bottle. Do something like that. Do one thing. I've recently done something as well that's, 5 forever. What can we change? 5 things forever that are going to reduce what you have in your house. So, for example, I've got a 5-year-old, as I said. I'm not going to buy fruit shoots anymore. My husband's terrible for buying them. He'll go out to the shops and think, oh, she wants some fruit shoots, but we're not going to buy any plastic bottles like that anymore for kids, because it's hard when you've got kids to just not buy, because you just think, oh, I'll just buy a load of rubbish, because you do. So things like that. Not buying kitchen roll anymore, because it's something that we use in excess. No one picks up one bit of kitchen roll. Everyone, if there's kitchen roll on the side, you will pick up 2-3 bits and you will wipe whatever it is, even if it's a tiny little coffee mark, and then chuck it in the bin. So it's just been a bit more mindful about the things that we can reduce: cotton wool, kitchen paper, plastic bottles. Obviously, I know we're all on a big what's the word,
environmental kick.
Yeah, we all want to do that, and it is really hard, and I know that everyone is trying, and we all trying to do our little bit. Like I said, I've just recently bought an electric car, so because I'm in and out of London all the time, it made absolute sense. Why am I paying for so much petrol, congestion charges, all those types of things? So it is hard though, because I know a lot of people are also saying the flip side to decluttering is that, now landfill is getting filled with everyone's stuff.
Oh God, yeah, I never thought
because
of that.
Everyone is thinking, oh my God, everyone's like, Marie Kondo, obviously, there are memes going around, that, look, that everyone's had a Marie Kondo declutter and now the landfills are full of crap.
God.
So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because we want people to clear, we want people to know what they've got in their houses. I want you to have a clearer, calmer space so that you mentally feel better, because there is a direct link to having an organised, clear home and how you feel mentally. So it's really important that you have that calm at home, because then, you're going to perform better at work, aren't you?
I think creative people can be some of the worst culprits for this as well.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of artists who are, especially if they've got a home studio. What tips would you give to someone who's creative but working from home, so their space is limited?
Absolutely. They have to have a separate space. That's the most important thing. I think if you are creative and you are working from home, you have to try and make sure that your space at home is completely separate to anywhere else. Like I said, there's no point sitting in your bedroom working. Try not to, if you're in a 1-bedroom flat and you're working in your front room, that's actually a lot of stress. So if you can take it out of your house, always do that, because I think, like we said, the stress and the monetary value that you spend, what you have to weigh it up. Actually, is it going to cause you less stress working outside your home and going and renting a space for 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, so that you can come home and enjoy your space? Because as much as you might be trying to save money, or is that stress causing you a lot of problems at home? Because you might have a partner that's moaning that your stuff is everywhere, your film equipment's everywhere, your paperwork's here. How can you reduce that? Is there, there's so many spaces now in London all over the place that you can go and, hot desk, or go and share an open space. You can go and sit in, the Hoxton down the road and all sit there on your laptops, and it's all free. So is there anywhere that you can work that's outside your home? I think for many of us, trying to work from home, it's quite tricky. I think the whole working from home causes a lot of stress. So unless you've got your own specific studio, study, it has to be a separate room. I think if you try and bring your work into an open living room space, open kitchen space, that's quite stressful. Because as well, when you're working from home, people are walking in and out the kitchen, and you just want to get stuff done, you're always going to be distracted, and you're always going to think, you know what, let's go and sit in the coffee shop for half an hour. I think people try to work from home and it always sounds like it's such a good idea, but I think actually it's much better if you can go and work in an office, go and work in an office, and then you're not taking anything home with you. Because I think when you have to take things home with you, that's when the problems start, and that's where the stress is. I think you get such a build-up of stress when you're working together. You know, I grew up in a very stressful environment. My mum and dad worked together and they worked from home a lot of the time. Our house was so messy because my dad just sat there, he was an accountant, and there was just paperwork everywhere all the time. And because they worked together, they weren't only married, so they didn't just have normal marital stresses, they were working together as well. So all I saw was stress, and that was in our home environment and it was at their office, so it never left. So for me, I'm a real believer of if you don't have to work from home, don't. And actually, I don't think there's as many benefits from working at home. I just think it's just, okay, you can come up, you can do what you want, you can sort of, you know, make a cup of tea when you want or wherever, but there's so many great spaces now that you can go and do that anywhere else. I just think leave your work at work.
Do you think your mum and dad, that's why you've ended up doing this?
100%.
Yeah.
It's the only reason. I think the reason that I've always been wanting to help others is because I was just in such a chaotic environment growing up, and it was so messy, and it was so there was just chaos. That's all I can describe it as. My childhood was chaos. So now I'm completely the opposite. I was like, I will never ever have that for myself. I'm always going to be neat. I'm always going to be tidy. And because my mum and dad were never there for me when I was growing up, they were always working. I was brought up by my neighbours basically. And my way of saying thank you to them was to help them tidy and organise. And so it came from a real deep-rooted growing up to now, actually. And it's funny because when you're in your 20s, you don't look at it like that, do you? You think, oh my God, my house is so stressful, and you know, oh, my house is such a mess. And actually, my mum and dad are never there, so it's great because I can go out and I can go and party, and who cares because they're not there, and they're not home till 11 o'clock at night, so everyone can come around my house, and it's great, isn't it? And then it's not until you're older that you look back and think, oh my God, actually that probably wasn't right. But now I think, God, look how it's gone full circle, because actually what I thought was a negative when I was growing up has actually turned out to now be my career. It's helped me in every single way because it made me more independent. You know, as going over to my neighbours' houses, helping them organise and clean and tidy, and then deciding actually I like looking after people. I mean, my mum and dad would pick me up so late that I used to have to pack bags in the shopping centre, in the supermarket, to wait for them. So I learnt to be really organised, pack people's bags, do things like that, because I was just waiting for them because I was bored. So all these things taught me things, which at the time I thought was awful because they weren't picking me up. But now I think actually that made me who I am, because I was quite independent and strong and I could look after myself. So as soon as I was old enough to, I was gone. You know, I moved out when I was 16, 17.
So who's the first person who paid you to kind of clean or declutter for them?
Person. Oh, well, I used to work for, so when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I worked for, I'd done so many jobs. I'd always to do with organisation. So when I left school, I went to college. I was so bad at maths, and my mum, I got an E in maths at GCSE, and my mum said, you've got to go to college and redo your maths. So I redid it, got an E.
Because they're an accountant family.
I redid it and got an E again. I was like, told you, it was an absolute total waste of time. That was such a waste of a year. And then I decided, right, because I loved organising, always loved looking after people, because, you know, as I said, I was always doing that. And I thought, I want to be a PA. So I went and got a job as a PA to 3 sales directors, blagged my way into this job, didn't really have loads of experience, but, you know, had the gift of the gab at the time. So I did that, went and worked for 3 directors, loved that. Then I left, and my friend was setting up a tanning and beauty salon, and he said to me, look, why don't you run it and design it, set it up, and I'll back it. And I was like, okay, great. So I did that, ran this tanning and beauty salon, and there was nothing in Shepperton at the time. That's where I grew up. There was no beauty salon, so we really had like gone in at the right time. Every tanning was huge back then. So we had this, and I did that, and then that was really busy. But I was a bit of a party girl, so I was working in this salon, but at night I was going into all the clubs in London, and then like strolling in at like 8 a.m. in the morning and going doing manicures and pedicures. But what I was doing is telling everyone where I'd been, so everyone used to love it. They used to come in for manicures and pedicures and treatment. They're like, where did you go last night? I'm like, oh my God, I tried this new restaurant. There's this new bar opened called Titanic, and I used to know everything about everywhere, and it always made me quite good. And I thought, actually, I'm really really good at this. I'm good at telling everyone where to go and knowing about everything. So that led into being a PA really, really well. And obviously I'd had a bit of experience. So then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start up my own concierge service, and I'm going to tell people where to go and how to do it. So I set up this company called Perfect Me, and it was an organisation, and it was a concierge company. So I looked at places like Quintessentially, 10 UK, and thought, right, yeah, I can do this because I'm connected. I know everyone everywhere. And like I said, because I was on my own and I grew up, I always just knew how to get everything because I had to, because I was on my own a lot of the time. So I was a bit of a Del boy. That's what I like to think. I was a bit of Dilly will be able to get that. She'll know someone. I always know someone who can get something. So yeah, I basically did that, and I set up this concierge company. And so underneath that, I started going into people's houses and saying, look, I'll come and be a PA. And I got this long story short, I got this family. A friend from when I worked in the nail bar said, oh, there's a family that live on the Wentworth estate in Virginia Water, which is a really wealthy estate in Surrey. They need some help. You'd be great. So I went and started working for them. So I went in as a remote PA, and then just got on with them so well that I ended up moving in and being a live-in PA, and then helping them organise their house. So I was doing everything from picking up kids from nightclubs at 2:00 in the morning to cleaning up the puppy poo. So. But it was the best job ever, and they were the loveliest family. So I worked for them for 3.5 years, I think. And then I met my husband again and decided, actually, I'm going to go travelling and go off. And then when I came back after I'd met him, I was like, right, I'm going to start carrying on the organisation thing. And I did that for a while. I did a bit of cleaning for my sister-in-law, and she's like, you need to go and do this more in people's houses. And my mum, who was mentally, my mum's got bipolar. So that's where Declutter Dolly started, because my mum, I found her living in complete chaos because she lived in Somerset. I'd moved out years ago. Her and my dad moved to Somerset. And after my dad died, she sort of just went on a bit of a downward spiral. And she used to come and visit us. I never used to go and visit her because she would be like, oh, no, I'll come up to you. I was like, okay.
Right. So she was hiding.
So she was hiding everything that was going on in her house. I was like, okay, no problem. And so I've missed a bit, really. So when I remember coming home when I was 11 years old, and my mum was being held down by about 6 doctors or something, and I think I'd just finished brownies or guides, and my neighbour was there, and she said, oh, you better come and sit with us at our house. And this was the beginning of my mum having a complete breakdown. And like I said, my mum and dad worked their whole lives, and they literally worked each other into the ground to the point that my mum had a breakdown. And so that was the beginning of her episodes, and that was the beginning of her getting thrown into mental asylums. And so she got sectioned then, and then she probably got sectioned 10 times over 10 years because she just couldn't cope anymore. And back then in the 80s, hospitals were so different and mental institutions were so different, and her being thrown into a psychiatric unit of a hospital was quite hardcore because they just thought, oh, she's lost the plot, she's crazy, let's throw her into this hospital, pump her full of drugs, and just get her back on the right track, because that's probably all they knew. Things like bipolar weren't really diagnosed much back then. People just thought people were crazy and they were up and down. There was nothing like that. So I think what happened was she got pumped full of the wrong drugs for so long and then became reliant on them. So then for the rest of my life, she'd, every couple of 6 months, she'd relapse and go and have to be sectioned again and be running outside naked and all sorts of things. So, but I'd moved out when I was 17, so I didn't really see much of that. All I knew was that, oh, mum's ill, she's in hospital again, and I'd go and visit her, and that would be it, because she was in Somerset. So I sort of carried on with my life, and she carried on with her life. And then my dad stopped working, and when he stopped working, he became really ill, because I think when you've got a brilliant mind, for a lot of people, and like my dad, who was in his 60s, 70s, he suddenly stopped working. Everything just shut off because he had no focus. So he didn't have any hobbies. He didn't do anything because all he'd done his whole life is work. So he just worked. He worked at home. He worked at the office, and that was his life. He had nothing else. So when they said, look, you're getting really ill, you need to stop working, he just shut down and everything went downhill. So he then went into a home and had to be cared for. So my mum was then on her own. So when he eventually died, I suppose she had no one to go and look after. And that, on top of being ill, just set her off. So I didn't really see her that much, and she'd call every now and again, obviously, and come and visit when she could. And I didn't really see much of her illness until after I was married and came back from Australia to Tring. And I rang her and I said, shall I come and see you? She's like, no. I said, no, I'm going to come and see you. I haven't seen you for ages. And I got to her house, and her house was just just like a hoarder's paradise. It was just, I could just about get through the front door. She was living in absolute chaos, and I was like, oh my God, how have I not known about this? You know, how has she kept this hidden for so long? And I thought, God, I'm the one to blame, because but she'd never told me. She never told me she was living like this, because she'd come and visit me and say that everything was fine. So I thought, right, this has got to change. So I literally spent the weekend, and I completely turned the house around. And some of the first pictures on my Instagram of her house. And I thought, do you know what? I am really good at this. I'm really good at just going in, because I was like, right, let's go in, let's change the situation around, and let's make it better. And I did it in a weekend. I just turned the whole house around, made it all beautiful. And I thought, do you know what? There's so many people probably like my mum that need help. And I love doing it. So maybe I should just do this more. Maybe I should focus on this. And I remember saying to my husband, look, this is what I'm really good at. Let me just do it. And he's like, yeah, do whatever you think. And my friend is in marketing and said, you need to get on Instagram. Everyone's on Instagram nowadays. You should just do your befores and afters, because you telling people that you go into people's houses and organise them, no one gets it. So think of a good name. Let's think of this. I remember we were on a plane. I can't remember where we were, but we sat there and brainstormed some names. And I was like, oh, Declutter-er would be great. She's like, yeah, but you're stopping yourself from expanding. So you need to be dollies, you need to be plural. So if there's more of you, then, you know, you can send people out, and then eventually your aim is that you won't have to do anything, and you can send people out and just advise people. I was like, okay, so declutter dollies became a thing. And I just started posting my befores and afters, and it just grew. And it feels like it's taken years for it to grow. And, you know, as we are with Instagram, you're constantly looking at your numbers thinking, well, you know, there's other people out there that've got 150,000 followers, and they're not doing what I'm doing, or they are, but not doing it as well. Or it's really, really hard to focus. But I'm trying to stay in my own lane and just naturally be me and do what I do. But, you know, I've had some great clients, and I've been lucky to work with some really great influencers and people that have helped my Instagram grow. But I genuinely love what I do, and I love seeing the difference. And like I said, people will, you can just, you know, think that, oh, you just go in and organise kitchens and houses, but actually it changes so much for people. And being able to walk into your house and it be organised and clear and calm and knowing what everything is life-changing for so many people. It was for my mum, you know, it made such a big difference to her. And unfortunately now she's ill still. So when I did go there, I said to my husband, she can't live like this anymore. And we'd been renting and we needed to live somewhere. So I said, look, why don't we ask her if she wants to sell her house and help us buy a house, and we'll look after her. So that's what we did. And she was like, yeah, because she was in Somerset, I was in Tring. And she was too far away from me to always be able to help her. So we were just going to sell her house and rent her somewhere for the next 5-6 years, however long. But we're like, it's such a waste of money. Let's just buy a house. We'll build her an annex at the bottom of our garden, and I'll care for her. So that's exactly what we did. So we're in the process of her annex being built at the bottom of the garden at the moment, which is just chipping it away at it slowly. But she lives with us and I care for her, and she has a carer every day to make sure she takes her main bulk of tablets, because she's on like 30 tablets a day.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. But what is interesting, and what I was trying to get to, is that clutter is so connected to your mental health. And whether it's a messy desk, a messy car, like I was talking about the trailer destruction, it can affect you, and it affects relationships. You know, people can split up because one person has got so much chaos that another person can't cope with. One person's tidy, one person's not. And even though you think it's something so simple, it really isn't. It's a huge contributing factor to the way that we behave and the way that we act every day. We all know that if we've had a great weekend and we've cleaned our house out and we've cleaned out the shed, or, you know, we feel incredible come Monday morning. We're like, oh yeah, we had a really productive weekend, you know, cleared out the shed, cleared out the kitchen, now I feel great, you know. So it really, really matters, and it is really linked to mental health. It really is. And I've seen that firsthand, how I changed my mum's life by sorting out her house, and the amount of people I have done that will message me going, I can't believe how different I feel because of this, because of what you've done. So it's not just coming in and, oh, I'm just going to come in and change a few books around and tidy up your cupboards. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, because you have to get rid of the label, because people were kind of, I guess, before Instagram and stuff, and you were actually able to show what you do, there was kind of the label of being just a cleaner. Yeah,
absolutely. People would think, oh, you just, you know, whose house are you cleaning this week? I'm like, not cleaning anyone's house.
It's a bit more complicated
week. It's
than
a little
that.
bit more than that, which is fine though, because I get that. You know, I don't mind that. I don't mind. I've got no qualms about anyone thinking I'm a cleaner. But I think when people see physically what you do, and that's why befores and afters are so important, because it's not just going in and changing a cupboard or changing a room. You know, I can walk in and completely in seconds go, right, that needs to be there, that needs to be there. Why is that under there? Why is that there? Why is this there? Looking around, and I do a lot of virtual cleanses, and I think there aren't many people that do what I do that do that as well, because I've really got an eye for what I can see. So
they can just FaceTime you.
So they can FaceTime me, and I literally will FaceTime them and go, right, spin me around, and I'll walk around the house with them and go, right, move this, move that, move this, move that, do this, do that, have a pen and paper ready, and I'll give them notes. So it's a consultation about what they need to do in their house, and they'll go, right, okay, and they'll go off and do it. And then they'll show me their befores and afters, and I will, maybe they'll, on the day they decide to do it, they'll text me and message me going, right, I've moved this there, what do you think? And I'll go, no, move that to here. And then you see the befores and afters, and I think, I haven't even been there, and that's what you've done.
Wicked.
So it's incredible. So a lot of what I do is basically give people a good pep talk and go, right, this is what you need to do, let's just get it done. Because a lot of the time people just need someone, some support. They need someone to support them that isn't a family member, that isn't anyone in their close circle, because we all know what it's like. You try and clear out your cupboard or your wardrobe with your friend, someone's going to go, oh, I loved you in that dress, you've got to keep it. And your girlfriend's going to go, oh, but you spent so much money on that toy, you've got to keep that one.
So I suppose it's you being an outsider is a real advantage. There's no
100%.
Because you're not tied to those objects emotionally.
I've got no emotional connection, and that's what's great, because I can just come in from a practical point of view.
Brutal.
Yeah, and be brutal, but in the kindest way. I always say to people, I am really tough, but in the nicest way.
I'm tough but fair.
I'm tough but very fair. Yeah, I'm very fair, and I won't ever say to people, get rid of it, and make them get rid of something they don't want to get rid of. I try and teach you why we might be getting rid of something, or say, right, okay, well, you have got 5 He-Mans. Yeah. Do you need all of them? Maybe we can just.
But it's the Argentinian variant. It has yellow belt loops. It's different.
Oh gosh! Oh, please don't let me come to your
What
house.
are the most kind of common things that you come across when you meet people and go to their houses?
What's the most common things? Okay, so iPad boxes, iPhone boxes.
Yep. Check.
Yep. Lots of those that you're definitely going to keep because you're going to sell them, which you never do.
I actually got rid of loads about a month ago because I was just like, I need to get rid of these.
Empty boxes. Number one, empty boxes of any kind, whether it's laptop boxes, iPhone boxes, shoe boxes. People have cupboards full of empty boxes, so their shoes won't be in the boxes, they'll just be out, but they've got 20 boxes of shoes, and you're like, well, that's why you've got no space, because you've got 20 boxes in there. Things like that. So even having like big things like a bread maker box that no one even uses a bread maker, and that is the cupboard, the box is taking up the top of your wardrobe. Why were the bread maker boxes in the wardrobe? No one knows. But things like that, it's just really simple things. You think, oh my god, actually I have got a bread maker and it is in the empty boxes in that cupboard. So empty boxes, number one. Number two, things like multiple appliances. So everyone has like 10 appliances in their house and they use one. So things like people have a NutriBullet, a bread maker, a pasta maker, a spiralizer, a Magimix, a Kenwood mixer, a juicer, a Jason Vale mixer. They'll have 8 different appliances, and actually you only probably need 1 or 2. You have to start thinking about multi-use tools, things that you could use. For example, I made at the weekend a curry, and I used my NutriBullet for a marinade. So I use it for my smoothies in the morning, and I use it for marinades, and I use it to chop up things. And maybe you need one a little bit bigger, but you don't need 5 of those different appliances. So it's about trying to reduce things and use multi-tools. People will have 25 different pans when they only use one pan. You use one frying pan, you use one pot. You don't need to have a slow cooker. If you've got a big solid pan, you can actually use a pan and put that in the oven. So it's about thinking things like that. Do I need the slow cooker that I only use twice in the winter, when actually I could just buy a really good Le Creuset pan and use that and put my vegetables and my meats in that and put that in the oven all day. So it's about thinking about how can I reduce the amount of appliances I've got. So there's always overload of appliances, overload of boxes. Clothes and shoes are people always have too many clothes and shoes, always, because we're just a nation of buyers. But I think that is slowly changing, and I think because of all the environmental impact that it's having, people are certainly thinking a lot more before they're buying. I don't think people are buying as much. Unfortunately, though, with this
we say that though. I think that's maybe the circles that we're in.
Yeah.
Because recently there was the climate strike.
Yep.
And then the day after, I was going to a job and I was on Oxford Street, and during the climate strike, you just felt like this is making real change. Like this must be having a huge impact, because look at all of these people. Mm-hmm. Everyone seems to be like, and I'm on Twitter all day, and all I'm seeing is climate strike. Then the next day on Oxford Circus, just the shops were so busy, and I was like, this did not make any difference whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yes, we all have to do what we can, but like we're so far from the actual steps being taken.
And the problem is as well, we live through social media, so we're living and buying now. We're buying on Instagram now. I can't moan, because a lot of people buy my service through Instagram, so it's great for me, but I don't. It's really funny, I always say I'm probably the worst influencer to ever have brands, because my whole ethos is to live with less. So don't send me anything, because I don't want anything. Don't want anything. Don't want any freebies. And I'm constantly clearing influencers' houses, and that, it's really important, because I tell people constantly, like, all these huge cleaners and all these cleaning accounts and all these products that everyone is getting sent. Remember these people that you're watching, especially like all your Love Island people, stuff like that, all these throwaway fashion brands, all these Boohoo, Misguided, all the really cheap fashion that's affordable that people are buying, it is throwaway fashion. These influencers and all these celebrities that are selling these things, they've got rooms that are just full of stuff that they don't know what to do with, and that they're getting rid of it. They're not keeping all the stuff that they've got. Yeah. So it's really important to remember that all these people that you're watching, that you're buying from, they're not keeping it all. The cleaners that you watch that are telling you to buy 50 products a week cleaning and fill your cupboards with, they're going straight to other people. Their cupboards are not full of all those products. They'll have their minimal products, and they'll probably only use 4 or 5 of them to clean their house. You don't need 50 cleaning products under your sink.
I saw some screen grabs on Twitter the other week of there'd be an Instagram post, and then next to it would be the Depop post where that influencer is then selling that outfit that they've posed one time for the gram. Absolutely. And then they're getting rid of it.
Yeah, of course. Because they haven't got space. Yeah. They all live in the same size houses as we do. They're not all millionaires with huge houses and dressing rooms that they can fit all these things in. And actually, I think people are saying no much more. But I think, when you're in your 20s and you're young and you've just come off Love Island and you're getting sent all this stuff, you're not going to say no, are you? You're going to go, yeah, great, this is so amazing. Send me it all. Send me loads of free stuff. When actually you could say, no, I don't really need it. Do you really need all the stuff you're being sent? It's lovely to be sent. It's a real double-edged sword, because I work for a lot of influencers, but they will tell me the same. A lot of them now I think are getting better at saying, actually, I don't need anything more. I don't need anything. And they'll only promote things that actually that they can just have something, small amounts, but they will get gifted. Everything they get sent will be getting sent to someone else. So
we found it, and we're just like, where were you when we needed this stuff?
Yeah, I know.
We don't need it now.
Yeah.
We needed it 7 years ago when we were like scraping and clawing for anything that we could get. And it's like,
But now you don't. I think it's just trying to make people more aware, isn't it? That's all we're trying to do. And I think that's what most companies are trying to do. Just making people aware that you don't need to say yes to everything. You don't need to buy everything. You don't need to consume your houses. You don't need to fill your houses with stuff. And I think that is the biggest problem as well. We get a house, we buy a bigger house, we think, we better fill it with more stuff. You don't need to fill it with more stuff. And a lot of the time when you do buy bigger houses, it doesn't mean you're going to have more storage. And just because you have a big house doesn't mean you need to fill it with things. Yeah. You can't think, right, we're going to buy a bigger house because then I can fill it with more stuff, so it won't matter. It's actually,
because then it's never enough, is it? You'll always need a bigger house.
People have storage units just to store their stuff. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. If you actually think about, you are paying to have your stuff in a storage unit that you can't even access, that you can't get, that you're not seeing every day. That's a crazy waste of money. Why can't you reduce that stuff? What is it actually in that storage unit? Why have you got it in there? People are keeping kids' baby clothes in there. Like, go and give it to a family that need it. Yeah. If you're going to have another baby, go and buy some more baby clothes. Don't just, don't pay for it to be in storage that you're paying, £200 a month for. How much people waste hundreds and thousands of pounds on storage? when actually in 20 years they think, oh God, I didn't need it. And it's really important to think as well, like look at your parents now and start saying to them, please start selling stuff now. Don't leave us with houses to clear, because that's what will happen. And as morbid as that seems, you have to think, actually, try and get them to start organising their stuff now. Try and get them to get rid of their stuff, because what will happen is you get left all these lovely houses and you got left full of stuff that you don't need. And then suddenly you're just getting rid of it here, there and everywhere. When actually you could start doing that and using the money for yourself now. They could start using the money for themselves now and going on nicer holidays, and doing things for themselves, rather than thinking, oh, I better keep that for him because he's going to want that antique bit of furniture.
Yeah.
When actually you probably won't want that antique bit of furniture. Let them sell it. Let them sell it now and enjoy the money. Enjoy what they've got. Enjoy what you have, rather than saving everything for best. So many people save stuff for best.
For best, yeah.
And it's like, why? This is our life. Live it. Use it. Wear the shoes. Wear the dress.
Yeah, right now is best.
Right now is best, because no one knows what's going to happen. You think, oh my God, I was waiting for all those things when actually I should have just enjoyed it. Eat off the best plates. Don't have 20 plates sitting there for Christmas dinner. Eat off it every Sunday. Eat off it every day. You don't need to have 20 sets of cutlery. One set is enough. People buy in extremes. People buy for 24 people because they've got 24 mates, and they think, yeah, but when he comes over, at least we've got some spare stuff. You're buying for people that don't live in your house. That's absolutely crazy. But so many people do, don't they?
Yeah.
You think, oh, I better buy 6 stools, because what happens when we have drinks? But you live in a 1-bed flat. There's no space for 6 stools, but still people are buying it.
One thing I've thought about a lot is the value of stuff. So when I look at my toys, I understand that if I'm buying sort of a brand new He-Man toy, then I know that that's 300 quid now. Wow. But I know that
it's going to triple by the time.
No.
Well, yes and no. So I'm at the stage where I'm old enough for all of the fans of that TV series, Masters of the Universe, to have disposable income where they can, and they feel this burst of nostalgia. Also, the prices have gone up because there's been Netflix documentaries about toys, so that's boosted the prices.
Okay.
But when you look at the cost of Elvis Presley records, they were at an absolute premium. Like, they were so expensive. But now, because all of the Elvis fans are dying out, that you can now pick up you can pick up Elvis records for really cheap now. Yeah,
because it's almost the people are too old that would enjoy that.
So the value that we put onto something is only the demand of the people that want it at the time.
Absolutely.
And when you were saying about clearing your parents' houses, all of the stuff that they're holding on to because they think this will be worth something is only worth it to those people that want to buy it.
Absolutely, at that time. So what they think that is going to be great at that time, for you in 10, 20 years, let's hope 30 years, it's not going to be worth anything. And we all know what we're like. If we want something out of our parents' houses, we probably got it already.
Yeah.
We won't wait 20 years to have it. We'll say, oh, go on, let's just have that now. Because if you're in that mindset where you like antique furniture or you like vintage pieces, you'll say, go on, Mum, let me have it. Please let me just take that now. You don't use it. All you do is, it just sits there. And your parents go, okay, take it now. But that's what I mean. Take it now. Have it now. Enjoy it now. Because trust me, when unfortunately your parents pass away, your grandma, your granddad, whoever, your family pass away, that is not the time where you're going to be thinking, oh my God, I'm so glad I've got this great piece. You'll be left with a house that you need to clear. And that is going to cost you money. It's going to cost you 10 grand out of all the inheritance to get rid of the stuff, because you have to pay people to get rid of stuff. You can't give anything away anymore. We all know that. How hard is it even just to give something away on Facebook, to sell something? You've got to package it, you've got to wrap it, you've got to post it, it's all stress that you will not need. And multiply that by 200 items in a house. That's a lot of stress.
I've said to my mum and dad as well, like, have your money now and enjoy it and spend it, because
100%.
They're always talking about like, oh no, but we'll leave you your inheritance, whatever. I'm like, I don't want an inheritance. I want you guys.
Yeah, I want you to be here. Yeah.
On the day that you die, I would give every single penny for like another 10 minutes with you. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely, yeah.
So do not worry about holding on to like, oh, I have to give this to, like, enjoy the people while you can. Like,
that's why, and that's one of the main reasons I said to my husband about my mum moving in with me. I said, it will be stressful and it's going to be hard, but actually let's do it now, and because in 10 years, 20 years time, when she goes to sell her house, we're going to be like 50, 60. You know, that's no good to us then. To then, buy our first house at 60 years old? We need that now. So we need to enjoy it now. So let's try and see how we can make this work. And if that's by her living with us, at least we're helping her and she's helping us. And we're all getting to, you know, we're all getting a benefit of it now rather than in 20 years because, you know, my mum's tough as old boots. She'll be around forever. You know, I'll be waiting till I'm, you know, 30 years. So it's so important. It's so important that you have to live for now and enjoy what you've got now because, you know, there's no point in saving it for a rainy day because it might never come.
I was thinking about something recently about because so many people keep stuff just for nostalgic reason, like parents have like baby clothes and stuff for kids who are now 40 or whatever. And I was thinking like, if you just took a photo of every single one of those things and printed it into a nice book, that takes up such a small amount of space on the shelf. And you've got all of those memories in there.
You can see it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's there on display.
I think you have to, with things like baby, I mean, this is so many mums, dads keep so many baby toys, so many baby clothes, like boxes and boxes. And I try to say to people, just have one tub. And once that tub's full, that's it. So then go back through that tub and look at it again and see what you can change and replace it. Maybe, you know, you've got their favourite jumper or their favourite pair of shoes or their blanket, their baby blanket. That's fine. Keep those things. But just make sure that you get to that one box and then just look through the box again because the way we feel about something today won't be the way we feel about something in 6 months and again in 6 years. So keep revisiting things. So if there's a box of toys that you're not sure about and you really love them and you're not sure, you put them in a box and you label it saying to be sorted at a later date or something, you know, like unsure of, and then look through it again in 6 months and think, actually, do I really want it? No, because you probably won't. So you have to sort of, if you're not ready to part with it straight away on that day, put it in a box, put it away, go and revisit it again, because the chances are when you look through your baby stuff again, you'll look through it and think, actually, I don't really want that. And especially when our parents, you know, we do finally get that box of baby stuff and all the school books that our mums have kept and all those types of things, and we open it, we're like, oh no, don't want that. We'll chuck it because we're like that. We're not going to go, oh, I'm so glad she kept that drawing from when I was 3 that looks like absolutely nothing. We won't. We'll just think, no, we'll keep some things. We might keep our first year's school books, we'll keep our first year's school uniform, maybe our blankets, stuff like that, but not everything. You know, as I said, try and keep it to one box.
Yeah, I think also like the world we're living in now is so digital, but anyone who's been born within the last 8 years has got their full life documented online.
Absolutely.
Because their parents will have posted it, whereas some people won't have that from when they were younger. So it's like now you don't need to keep all of those things because anytime you can just go on Facebook or wherever and just look back.
Keep it, and you can... Instagram will print it all off for you. You kind of get companies to do that, don't they? Print off all your Instagram pictures for you. But actually, it's funny you said that because I was only saying on Saturday that, so my mum and I actually, even though she lives with us, we don't have a very close relationship because, you know, they were never around, they were always working. So we have a very functional relationship. You know, I come into the house, she sits, there's a little conservatory that's old that's going to get knocked down, but we've kept it so she can have that as her own front room. So she's got her own space in our house. So our kitchen is separate to her. So she's got the little conservatory on the back. And, you know, I'll come in, I'll wave, do you need a cup of tea? Where's your dinner? Here's that. You know, have you got any washing? All that type, really functional relationship. But when I cook, because I was adopted from Sri Lanka, so my mum learnt how to cook Sri Lankan food really well. So when I do a Sri Lankan curry, which I do when I have friends around, which I did on Saturday, that's our time to bond. So I say, oh, Mum, I'm doing a curry, do you want to come and do the lentils or something like that? And she'll come in and that's our time we spend together. And I was thinking, it's really funny because, do you know what, I've got not one picture of me, my mum and my dad from when I was young. Not one physical photo. I can't think of anything, don't know where they are. So that for me is like oh God, I can't believe I've not, but it speaks volumes that there, the fact that I've got not one picture of the three of us together shows how much my mum and dad were working, because that is it. All they did was work. So it's so important that you don't just work, and that if you have families, you have friends, and you have people that you need to spend time with, that you do it. Because now I look back and I feel like, oh, that's a bit sad, but I don't, like I said, my life now is the bipolar opposite of what I had growing up, because, you know, I'm always with my child, she's always with me, you know, yes, she goes to after school clubs and stuff, but that's great, but I spend my weekends as much as I can with her, and we do lots of stuff together. We take lots of pictures. Yes, it's loads of it's online, loads of it's on Instagram, but there's memories there. Whereas I think for me, I didn't have any, because they just worked and worked and worked. And it's so important that you have that balance. And I know we all struggle with that work-life balance, but I think when you look back and think of your own childhoods, you can probably think, oh, actually, no, I've got loads of photos. My mum's kept loads. So that's important. But as long as you're not going to repeat history, if you haven't had that, then that's what's important.
I was talking to a fashion stylist recently, actually, about she's a mother, and she was saying she's so glad that she started on more of a freelance career earlier on, because now she's got a kid, she can actually spend a good amount of time with the child. Whereas if she was working a normal 9 to 5, she couldn't have done that. So it's like setting herself up before it even happens. And
that's the beauty of it. I mean, especially when you are self-employed, that's the beauty of being self-employed, is that actually you can say, okay, today, I don't need to work. I'm going to go, like on Friday, I'm going to go and help with the school trip, which I'd never have done before. I wouldn't have been able to do in a 9 to 5, and my husband goes away for 2 weeks to work, so I can finish early, and I can say, right, I can come and help you, but I can only be there for 6 hours. I need to be back by 6 to pick up my child. So it's a lot more flexible, but we all have mum guilt. We all, even if we're working parent, mum, father, that we're not with our children enough. But I also think it's really important that your children are seeing you work and seeing you do things and seeing how hard it is and what life is about. Because I think if you're just at home and you're not doing things, or you're not, being productive, then it's also, that's another thing, isn't it? If children aren't seeing you do anything, then who are they learning from? So, they only know what you teach them. So it's really important that you're out there doing what you can.
100%. I think the really important question is, what do you do with birthdays and Christmas?
What do I do with birthdays?
Yeah, so if you've got friends who are minimalists, or people that you're trying to encourage, or if I'm buying you a Christmas present, this is problematic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a total snob when it comes to presents. I've got very expensive taste. But I generally, my poor husband, come November, December, it's my birthday, Christmas, and my daughter's birthday, so he's absolutely skint. But yeah, I buy quality over quantity every single time. I'd rather have a really beautiful bit of jewellery, a good coat, something that's going to last me forever. Everything that I've got generally is, I don't buy things unless I think actually I'll have that for a long time. And if I think, it is just going to be for the next couple of weeks or the next month, or I'm buying something, then I give it to my friend who has a pre-loved business, and it gets recycled. So I don't just buy and throw away. But as I said, my husband and I have one 6-foot rail in our room because we're waiting for our wardrobes to be done, and that's it. That's all our clothes. Both of us.
3 foot each.
3 foot each. That's not a
lot.
lot.
Or have you got 4 and he's got 2?
No, he's got more, definitely. I actually don't have a lot. But yeah, for me, I'm all about, I have to have something that lasts. Don't ever buy me anything that's, throwaway or disposable, or something, silly. Even if it's a candle, I'd reuse the candle holders, and use them as makeup brushes or something like that. So buy me something that's a bit more thoughtful, rather than just buy me, or buy experiences. I think nowadays people buy music, buy tickets to concerts, buy, don't. And it's funny because now I'm so fully immersed in this whole world, and obviously everything I do is much more. I'm showing it online. I'm showing how I live, how I can be more practical, how I can live with less. For example, my daughter's birthday's coming up, so I'm already thinking, right, I don't want party bags that are going to be full of toot, because that is such a problem. Yeah. It's such a problem for people with kids. They come back with a crappy little plastic bag full of crappy toys that when I go to people's houses and do the playrooms, constantly we're just like, bin, because everything is just toot. So I'm thinking, right, what can I do that's going to be worthwhile to give, because this is my business and this is what I am. And to believe me, the mums will be thinking, oh well, for someone that's a declutterer, she's just given us a bag full of tit for my child's birthday party. So there's things now that you can buy for kids' birthday party bags that, like a little baking thing, so they can buy how to bake cookies, and that's what they'll take home. They'll bake the cookies and they're gone. So everything is in recyclable, cardboard, and it's ingredients. It's ingredients that they can make, and then they can take something and they can eat it and it's gone. It's not just a bag full of toot. So I was like, that's such a good idea. Like things like that, or at least a soft toy that they're going to keep for much longer, rather than it just being plastic rubbish. So all these things are just little things that you can be mindful of, aren't they? Just by quality, not stuff that you think, they're just not going to use that. Buy a good coffee table book.
Buying quality is so important, and I think the reason that I made $3,000 over the past month on eBay is because it holds its value. The stuff that I was selling on. I think, so if I've got a shirt from Top Man, I know that's not gonna. That's no one's buying that on eBay.
No.
But whereas I've bought quality stuff, it's all held its value, and I've done really well on eBay with it.
Absolutely, I think it is so much better to think, do you know what, I'm going to save for another month and go and do a big splurge in Selfridges or somewhere and buy something beautiful. Go and buy yourself a really good couple of really lovely t-shirts or some jumpers or jeans that are going to last you forever. I've got jeans that I've had for so long. You know, I always buy really good quality jeans that will last years and years that I don't need to ever replace. You know, I don't buy really cheap throwaway fashion because it's just no point. Because I want something that's going to last.
Yeah.
And I think we're switching on to that idea much more.
Yeah,
because, and like you said, look, you've earned so much money because you've got quality things.
And everyone who's bought my stuff has got quality things that they've bought.
Absolutely,
and that's the thing, is that you don't necessarily have to go to Selfridges. You can go on Depop, or you can go on eBay, or charity shops.
Yeah, I love a bar. I'm a like Bicester Village lover. I love a bargain, but I like it cheaper. I like expensive things, but I will always look on eBay, on Vestiaire, on all of those types of places. Vestiaire, I can never say it properly. Anyway, any of all of those types of places, I'm constantly, like I said, I buy things from my friends' pre-loved companies because I think, oh, actually, that's more of a bargain because, you know, that was a £600 dress. I'm getting it for £200, but it's still a beautifully made dress that at least it's going to last me for ages. Same with shoes, same with bags. You know, all these things, like you said, you can buy for a quarter of the price, but it's been well looked after because you're buying it from somewhere.
I've got a friend who, and our friend Jay, you can tell that his identity is not tied up in his appearance to the outside world. His identity is not built on what he's wearing. So he's always in like black jeans, black t-shirt.
I can't tell you what he would wear at all.
Yeah. So you don't even think of it, but you think of the character and you think of the person of like, oh, there's Jay. He's hilarious. He's whatever. He's like such a pure, genuine, good person. But I've sort of learned a lot from him of like, you don't need to be, because I love nice clothes.
Yeah.
But since knowing Jay, I've like really toned back on everything and like.
Yeah, you don't have to be excessive.
Yeah, and I'm spending so much less than I used to.
It's funny, isn't it, how we shop? And it's really interesting that the way we shop has changed. And I think when I do wardrobes, which I do a lot of, I try and educate people to, you know, you don't have to have 25 different tops. You don't have to have something new all the time. You can just buy really good. You can have a couple of pairs of jeans and mix and match them with stuff you've got in your wardrobe, or try and love something that you've had in your wardrobe for ages that maybe you've not been looking at properly because you couldn't see it. So we'll bring back out that blazer and that actually fitted really well, that you spent a lot of money on, but we're going to wear it in a different way. You can wear it on the school run with some Converse and some trainers, and you know, it doesn't always have to be just for work. You can wear that beautiful silk shirt that you've been wearing for work, but now you're not working in an office environment anymore. You can wear that silk shirt with jeans and trainers. Go, you know, however, wear it with boots, do it on the school run. You can still look quite chic and edgy with stuff that you've got in your wardrobe, and it's trying to teach people to shop from their own wardrobes again and use things that are in their house and reuse things and recycle things, rather than just thinking, oh, I haven't got anything to wear. Most people, when they think of, I haven't got anything to wear, it's because they haven't really looked in their wardrobe for a long time. I mean, when was the last time you really pulled everything out of your wardrobe and put it back in? When was the last time you both did that?
Sorry, we've run out of time on the podcast.
Mine not too recently. So like for me, like multi-use with clothing is so important. So I've basically got a pile of t-shirts, pile of trousers. I could pick any of those, put them together, and that's an outfit.
Excellent.
So there's no thought there at all in terms of what I have to wear. But if I buy anything, I'll never buy something unless I think, well, this could be worn with that. Like I've been out with my girlfriend. She's like, I really like this shirt, and I was like, but I don't have anything that would go with that, so I'm not. So I would never wear it, or would be like.
Then you have to buy everything to go with it.
Exactly.
That's it. I'm like that. I'll buy things, and I think, right, that's got to be able to go with everything. This has got to be able to go with everything. This dress has got to be able to go, you know, so that you can really wear it and wear it and wear it.
Because then you've always got something to wear. Because as long as you have, it's clean. Yeah, it's available.
But it's really hard because obviously when you become bigger on Instagram and you become an influencer and people are watching you, so much of it is about visual, isn't it? So much of it is about what you're wearing, especially for women. I mean, as men as well, because obviously men will follow you and they'll look at your style. They'll love what you're saying, but they're also looking at what you are, aren't they? We sell. people sell, and that's what people want to see. You know, when they see me, if I do posts with the same dress on as I had in another thing, people are going to go, oh, she's in the same dress. They've got nothing to learn from it. So it's really funny because I have to think about it. You have to think, oh, okay, I can't do another post, which is silly because my whole ethos is about reusing and recycling. So I always have to remind people, oh, you'll probably see me in the same thing a couple of times because I don't go out and shop all the time. If you see me in something new, you'll know it because there'll be a picture of me in it and I'll keep wearing it for the next 6 months. And then I'll post another picture of something else.
Me and him are always in the same gear, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think we hope that it's the content that
absolutely.
that tells the story rather than
that's what I try and make sure that I am about. A lot of what I talk about is pictures of houses, it's pictures of stuff. It's not me. I don't want it to be about me. Yes, it's me going into your house and me changing things, but predominantly it's not about what I'm wearing and what I'm doing. And actually, I go into houses and I wear a uniform. So I have black leggings and a black t-shirt which says Declutter Dollies on it, and that is my work uniform. Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I have 3 pairs of leggings, 3 t-shirts, and they get washed and changed, rotated. So I've only got 2 days to wear clothes, so it's fine at the weekends. I don't have to have much. But also, the reason I wear that t-shirt and leggings is because I don't want to be one of these women that comes in and does your wardrobe or does your house and looks all fancy schmancy and is like, oh, look, she looks so glam. Because I'm in people's houses and that's quite intimidating. I'm in your personal private space and I want you to feel as relaxed as possible. I never want to come in and you suddenly think, oh my God, she looks lovely and she's going to look, oh God, and feel any way threatened or feel like they're not comfortable in their own homes. And there's nothing worse than that. And I've spoken to people that have had people in their houses that do what I do and say, well, she was great, but actually it was all very professional. Whereas, I think people feel like when I come into their houses and, I don't look all glammed up. It's very basic.
It's really self-aware of you, actually.
Yeah, it's just to be that. I think that's really important because I don't ever want anyone to feel like, I'm going through people's private stuff. I'm going through drawers and their underwear drawers, their wardrobes, and I'm pulling out everything. There's no stone unturned. So it's not like I'm just going to come in and they can hide anything because I'm going to find it. I always say to people, I send a disclaimer and I say, if there is anything that you do not want me to find, make sure that you put it somewhere completely because I will find it.
You've seen some horrors.
There's been some funny things that I've found, but I'm so discreet. I'm very good at finding boxes and bags and stuff and going, just putting it under the bed for a minute until I've done that wardrobe and put it back in or something. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. But and most people, they're very comfortable with me, so it's all it's all fun and there's nothing I haven't seen. There's nothing I haven't seen.
I've read articles about you that have said that you're the UK's Marie Kondo. I
like to think I am. Well, I think do you know what? No, I love that people say that.
Okay, great, because that's what I was going to ask, whether that annoyed you or whether has she been good for business?
Oh, she's utterly changed the way that people look at their houses, and that for me is incredible. The thing with Marie Kondo is she doesn't actually physically do it. So she will go into your house, she will teach you and educate you, which is incredible, as to what you need to do and how that you should look at each item and that type. I am far more like much more hands-on. I come in, I don't just teach, I teach you about it as well, but I physically do it. So she doesn't change your space. She just teaches you how to live in a more controlled environment, in a clearer, calmer environment, but she doesn't change your space. And I noticed that on her Netflix documentaries, when she does people's kitchen cupboards, or she'll go in and say, okay, well, you could reduce this, reduce that. It's all very calming. And I mean, she's obviously got this natural calming effect on people, which is great because that's what people look to. But what is very funny is that every home I go into has got the Marie Kondo book, the life of I can't even remember what it's called, but yeah, they've got her book, and I think, oh, this has worked well, hasn't it? So it doesn't matter how much you read in terms of trying to declutter. You can read a book on decluttering, but you're still going to need help. And actually, the quickest way is just to do it. I'm like, don't even waste 15 minutes reading the book. spend 15 minutes changing something in your house. That for me is very important. I'm like, actually, you could have done that in 15 minutes. You could have changed your cutlery drawer. You could have done your wardrobe, gone through it, cleared it out in 15 minutes.
In a dolly dash.
Dolly dash. I don't think you needed to have, spent 15 minutes reading about what you're going to do. Be practical, just do it.
Yeah.
But I'm very much like that. I'm quite tough in that respect. I'm like, what are we talking about? Let's go in and do it. Because as soon as I walk into your house, it'll be, hi, how are you? What are we doing? Let's get stuck in.
Boom.
Not let's have a consultation. Let's sit here for 15 minutes and talk about how we're going to change it. Let's talk about it for an hour. Let's have a couple of meetings before I actually come and do it. I'm just like, show me the room. Let's get it done and turn it around. It's all very quick and all very... I want to be in and out like you do. You don't want me in your house for that long. You want me to come in and do it.
Digging around my boxes under my bed.
Looking under, yeah, exactly. No one wants me in there for that long. So, no, I think she's been great. Like Mrs. Hinch, all these people that have just gone stratospherically crazy. I think, oh my God, how incredible. You can't do anything but admire you and think how something so simple, because they have those two people have revolutionised the world for me, because now people are aware of actually there are services like this.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best thing anyone ever said to me was, what's for you won't pass you. And I've got that tattooed on my foot actually, and I really believe in that.
What's for you
won't pass you. So if it's meant to be, it will be, basically. And I believe that, and I think it's weird because now I'm in this environment and this is what has become my job. It's crazy because actually I was doing this forever. I was doing this at 6 years old at my neighbour's house, helping them clear out their cupboards and tidy. And I didn't see it as anything back then, but look at where it's come to now. And all those things that I thought were negatives when I was growing up have actually turned out to be positives. Waiting in a supermarket till 8 o'clock at night, packing supermarket bags, organising those, talking to people, being friendly, being able to talk to anyone, being on my own, being independent has made me now be able to go and work in anyone's houses, from a 1-bedroom flat to a £10 million house. It doesn't matter where I am. I can sit with anyone. I can relate to anyone. I can just be. And that's because of the way I've been brought up. As I said, I was on my own for a long time, sort of independently. I haven't got any brothers or sisters. So, I've always, my friends have always been really close to me. So I think that has really helped me now in my career. And like I said, all the things that I thought could have been negatives growing up, not having brothers or sisters, not having a close family, made me independent and strong enough to go into other people's houses and help them. And it gave me that want to look after other people because I was looked after. And for all my mum and dad's faults, working all that time, they still went out of their way to another country to adopt a child, to give me a house, to give me a home, and to give me all this opportunity, which I would never have had in Sri Lanka. So I'm forever, ever grateful. So I think that's why my mum living with me now, I think this is my time to pay back, because actually you didn't have to come and get me from Sri Lanka. You could have adopted from this country. The fact that you went out of your way and spent years to try and get me. So they found me when I was 7 weeks old, but they didn't bring me home till 1983. So it took them 3 years. 3 years is a long time to go through an adoption process. And even now, adoption is really, really hard. So I see that, but I think my end goal will be to do that myself, because we haven't had another child yet, which I'd like to. So I think eventually we will adopt, because I'd like it to go full circle. Yeah.
That's lovely. Where can people find you online?
At declutter-dollies on Instagram, or declutter-dollies.com, my website, but you'll always see me, find me somewhere.
Amazing.
Hopefully someone will be talking about me.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so lovely.
Dilly.
Pleasure.